So Suicide Silence have put out two new tracks, Doris and Silence. Now, their last album was very disappointing to say the least. It kind of felt like a bunch of unreleased tracks that they unfortunately couldn't have put out with Mitch Lucker before his death. And Eddie Herminia came in and just his vocal work on it is actually great. I just feel like he tried to emulate Mitch Lucker too much, and the music work was just kind of generic, even for Suicide Silence. It sounded like something we kind of have all heard before at best. It was not great. And then we get these two new tracks coming out, and the first one they released, Doris, has been very, very polarizing, especially for its use of clean vocal work. And Suicide Silence kind of have their counterpart with Whitechapel, who both kind of really made the whole deathcore scene explode and be kind of popular. I would say they're definitely two of the bigger names within that genre. And Whitechapel switched over to some clean vocal work on their last album, Mark of the Blade, which I reviewed, and I actually thought they did a very good job with it. I thought it was one of the best Whitechapel songs that they've ever done. And a lot of people kind of been bringing that up, that Suicide Silence is kind of following in their footsteps, and I don't really see it that way. I don't think that they looked at what Whitechapel did and just said, oh, we need clean vocals anyways, too. I think they're actually trying to push themselves in a different direction, and Doris is a very different sound for the band, musically, vocally, in every way, shape, and form. And it really kind of is reminiscent of early 2000s, late 90s, new metal, alternative metal, that kind of style. And especially with the vocal work, it really reminds me of something from, like, say, Finch or Deftones a lot. There's a very heavy Deftones influence here, just with a bit more of that metal sound to it that we're used to. And I really like Doris. I think that the track itself is again taking them in a different direction. I think that musically it sounds like something we really haven't heard a lot from them in the past. It's kind of catchy in a lot of ways, and even the clean vocal work, I think he actually did a good job on here. It's a little bit rough in the sense of it sounds like he's not used to doing it, and he's kind of exploring it a bit. It also kind of feels like it was done in one single take and not necessarily done in a actual recording studio. It really kind of has that roughness to it, and that I could see as not appealing to a lot of people as much. But overall, I'd say it's a very strong track, and I think they did a very good job, and I have to commend them for, at least trying to do something different than what they've done in the past. Then we get to the track recently released called Silence, and it's a really different story here. Silence is not good. I have to commend them because at least they're trying. It sounds like they're trying to push themselves in a different direction. It's just that while Doris has a lot of influence of the Deftones, Silence sounds like they just tried to rip the Deftones off and emulate them, and just did not work out well at all. The vocal work is not good on that. As rough as Doris is, this is even worse. It just is weird, choppy screaming on here is just irritating. The actual music behind it is just tries to have this weird atmospheric moodiness to it, and it just does not work. I don't like it. I at least can recognize that they're trying to do something different. They're trying to kind of push away from that pure generic deathcore sound, especially considering the last album. But while one track, Doris, definitely worked, it does not work on Silence. Falling flat was kind of probably too much praise for it. It is just not a good track in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, probably the best thing I could say about it is that they tried. And this kind of has me feeling weird about what the new album is going to sound like, just because the two tracks we've got have a similar vibe to them, but one of them definitely worked, the other one doesn't. But neither of them sound like anything we've heard from them really in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see how the overall album actually sounds, and generally the reception that we get from fans.